Hey friends, and welcome back to the show. We just got back from a long weekend trip, and I thought it would be fun to take you along and share how I navigated some food choices, tried to keep my glucose in check, and still enjoy vacation without feeling overly restricted or, on the flip side, feeling kind of yucky. We took a pretty similar trip almost a year ago, and I actually documented that as well. That was more water park focused. We went to the same place, but we did not stay at the water park. So that episode that I did about our trip at the water park, we stayed at the water park. So my thought process and things like that was a little different because staying on the grounds of the water park is different than we went there just for the day. You can't bring food there, and so a little bit of a different experience, but it was somewhat the same on some of my thoughts. We decided to stay in a condo this time around because we wanted to do a few other things in the area and have, a mix of things that we did, and then also have some downtime, boat tours, things like that. We also love the water park, so we still got that in on this trip as well. Before I sort of dive into the episode and I want to go over what I ate, kind of what we did on the trip, and just sort of give you my thought process on what I did leading up to the trip, what I was thinking during the trip, and then just how it kind of set me up for success kind of coming back too. But I want to explain why I do these almost journal style episodes. I think often, especially online in this world of social media, you see the highlight reels and the perfect meal plan and the perfect meal prep and just these flawless routines, carefully curated health choices, everything was so perfect, and I mean, honestly, that's not real life, right? Real life is going to the ice cream shop. Real life is getting fries or a burger once in a while because that's the best option when you're out on vacation or you're just need something now, and that's the best choice you got. And sometimes it's just figuring out as you go. So these episodes, it's kind of my way of pulling back the curtain, kind of giving you that inside look of what it actually looks like for me, trying to actively live out a glucose-friendly lifestyle. And part of that is with traveling, with a toddler, that's another level. And not always having a perfect plan. It's usually pretty messy, imperfect, but I also find that it's pretty sustainable what I do because I was able to just jump right back in to my regular routine for the most part. Aside from workouts and things like that, I definitely switched up my schedule a little bit. But as far as eating and feeling good, I felt pretty good getting back in the swing of things. So that's sort of why I want to do these sort of journal style episodes and just sort of show you my thought process, because sometimes it's so easy for me because this is just my everyday life. But I think sometimes people go, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, or I didn't know that I should do it that way, or maybe that's a better way of doing things. So that's why I just want to kind of give you that inside look. So let's get started with day one of the trip. Hey there, I'm Katie, and welcome to the Glucose Globe Show, where I'm making blood sugar balance for non-diabetics not just important, but actually fun and approachable. I'm a girl mama, problem solver, wellness advocate, and someone who turned a deep dive into metabolic health into real-life results, like healing my insulin resistance and unlocking my fertility journey. This podcast is your backstage pass to everything I've learned and I'm still learning about glucose, longevity, how to beat your cravings, and stop feeling hangry. Why does this all matter? Because when your blood sugar's in check, everything just feels better, from your mood to your energy and overall health. Here we'll talk about glucose tracking, eating for balance, optimizing your health, fertility, navigating the healthcare system, a holistic approach to wellness, and biohacking your way to feeling amazing for years to come. I'm in the trenches right alongside you, working daily to manage my own glucose and have more energy for the things I love. So whether you're ready to kickstart your health, deepen your understanding of how food impacts your body, or just want a relatable space to learn and grow, you're in the right place. Let's get glowing. Let's start with day 1 of the trip. So this was going to be like more of a driving and hiking day, and we pretty much, if we're going on a road trip, we bring the cooler. I wouldn't say that there's many times where we don't. So the mornings are kind of chaotic, on a road trip. We're finishing up packing, we're trying to get the cooler, we got to run to the store and get some ice for the cooler, we got to make breakfast, get the house clean, just like chaos, right? Well, my daughter needs 17 things at the same time while I'm doing all of that. So usually opt for super simple breakfast, protein shake, get protein in right away so that I'm not hangry in a couple hours. So we try and do that. For this trip, because we were going to be in the car, we had like all day before we could check into our condo. So I opted to not bring as much food in the cooler. Instead, I made a list. And then we were going to stop at the Walmart to just get the fresh things that we needed instead of trying to keep things in the cooler all day. But I did bring some staples like the yogurt I like, the Greek yogurt, and Good Culture cottage cheese. I just love that. I know Walmart doesn't have it. So there's just some things that I get particular about. I also brought Ezekiel bread. I brought some peppers, homemade banana oat muffins, and this homemade granola bar. Not granola bar, but granola that can just kind of be crumbled, like on yogurt or whatever. Or just eaten, like some of the chunks are kind of bigger, So it's like a better version of granola versus buying it. So I made some of that because it was just easy to like have in the car and hand back to my daughter if she needed a snack. So anyways, our first stop before we actually like got to where we were going was one of our favorite hiking spots in Wisconsin, Devil's Lake. So we did a pretty big hike. So we just had like Ezekiel bread sandwich, turkey, ham, cheese, some sliced bell peppers, and then I think we had some apples on the side or something. So just like super simple lunch to get us through like it was probably over 2.5 hour hike. We made some stops along the way, but we were kind of, trying to just get something simple. I brought some roasted edamame in the bag and a few other like toddler type snacks like pouches and stuff. But otherwise, just really simple lunch. Then we sort of made our way to the condo, which was like 30 minutes away. And that's when we needed to kind of do the Walmart run. And okay, so Labor Day weekend, Saturday night, Walmart. I don't recommend it. I do not recommend it, especially when you're in like kind of like a touristy area. Just like pure chaos. I mean, my mom and I each had a cart. We were just running around trying to get what we needed. Like a lot of things were like empty, the shelves, like even the produce section. It was like mass chaos. But there was like a few things that I had researched ahead of time that I wanted. I also knew that we were going to be making tacos/taco salad that night. I wanted to start with a healthy meal, homemade meal, to kind of get us set up for success, knowing like sleep and glucose, they kind of go hand in hand. If your glucose is all over the place, your sleep is probably going to be all over the place, things like that. I mean, like, I'll skip ahead, spoiler alert. I mean, our daughter like did not sleep that night. It was like she was up more times than a newborn, so that whole plan failed. But it was like a good thought, right? Like, have good veggies, fiber, good protein, and you should sleep good. Yeah, well, it didn't work because we were just completely interrupted by her. But that's fine. We did our best. So tacos, so we got that stuff at Walmart. I was craving coleslaw. No one else thought it was a good idea at first, and then they were like, yeah, we should get some coleslaw. I don't know. It was pretty good. Was it perfect? I don't know. Probably not, because it was like made by Walmart, but the whole thing filled us up. Everyone was good. And so we did the ground chicken, romaine. We did do some like chips and salsa, shredded cheese, olives, just kind of like kept this like really, really simple, loaded up on taco salad. We were good to go. I also wanted to go to Walmart to get those Owen protein shakes. I just wanted like easy grab and go protein, especially like for in the afternoons when you just like want to grab for like a carby snack, but like you probably need protein. I really wanted the Pioneer Pastures brand. I should have just bought that before we left, but I didn't. This was the best Walmart had, and I knew that going into it. There was so much going on before the trip, so I didn't. I feel like Target by us has them, but I just decided to wait and get them there. And unfortunately, they only had chocolate, and I just really don't like most chocolate things. So I sort of had to just deal with that because, 32 grams of protein in them is going to fill me up. I was happy with that. They're not perfect as far as ingredient list, but 32 grams of protein, 6 carbs. There is monk fruit, which I like that. Still like natural flavor in there, but it seemed to be a little better than maybe your typical one. It's hard to say, right? And this was plant-based. Also not my first choice, but it was the best they had out of the options I had at Walmart. My mom likes these because she doesn't tolerate dairy well. So we ended up just getting like a couple of those to share with a few of us. So not perfect, but I knew that I wanted that going into that Walmart trip. Total chaos, if you can just like imagine that. Again, don't recommend, but Walmart was the best, closest option. There wasn't really a lot of other grocery options nearby, and that was still 15 minutes away. So that's what we did. We loaded up on water and like a few other snacky things that we didn't have yet. Okay, day 2, we were headed on a boat tour. So we were anticipating probably going out to lunch. We weren't sure exactly when the boat ride was going to be, but we were pretty sure we were going to end up going out to lunch. So my plan is always to have like a really good breakfast. And that's why I love having a kitchen when we travel, because it just like makes things a lot easier. I made homemade sourdough discard pancakes before we left, like a whole bunch of them, and I froze them and put them in the cooler so they survived the trip. And then we just heated them up in the microwave. So I had those, and I find those don't create as large of a spike, especially when you pair them with like good protein. So we did scrambled eggs, and I always put like a Greek yogurt on them with peanut butter. And then we did get some pure maple syrup, and then fresh blueberries is what we had. So we started off with like just a really good breakfast. I did bring one of those protein shakes along because the boat tour got pushed back a little bit on like our timing, so I'm glad I brought that along. That kept me going until we had like our later lunch, which was out to eat, because sometimes, I don't know about you, but if I just go way, way too long without eating something, yeah, I'm getting hangry, but like my glucose starts to get so low, and then all of a sudden like all I want is just like give me all the carbs. So it just kind of helped keep me a little steady. And it didn't have to be refrigerated, which was nice. So I could just like throw that in my bag and be good to go. Because after the boat tour, we knew we were going to our favorite pizza place. So I got a salad with the pizza. Super good. No protein in there except for like a little bit of the egg on the side salad that I got. But we loved the pizza, and I had good protein the other parts of the day. So it sort of, to me, was no big deal for me, because then dinner that night, and this should not be a surprise to anyone if you've been around for a while, but we had Cobb salad. I love to make everyone eat a good Cobb salad. You just get to load up with a lot of good veggies, protein. We did chicken, bacon, hard-boiled egg. There's some peppers and carrots and cucumber. We skipped the croutons because I just didn't buy any. So maybe we would have had that and just like ranch dressing. But those are, seriously, Cobb salad, they're so good. I feel like we always make them when we travel. We just got like pre-cooked frozen chicken. I just heated them up in a frying pan. Nothing like super crazy, but we did get that at Walmart. But after having, like a little bit of a carb-heavy lunch, it was good to kind of balance things out. So that's kind of why I wanted the Cobb salad. Day 3, we decided to do like all day at the water park. We did not stay at the water park like we did last year because we wanted to do some other things, like I said, but I still wanted to go to the water park. So breakfast, same thing. We did the pancakes, eggs, yogurt, fruit. Lunch was at the water park, and I'll be honest, this is where, I got a little. I knew we were going to have to eat there. I mean, you can't bring food in. I did bring like small snacks for my daughter, like puffs and her pouches and something. Oh, roasted edamame, I think I brought for her too. But I knew we wanted to spend all day there, and I'm like, it's just one meal. So I ended up getting a grilled chicken sandwich and french fries. It was fine. I mean, the only other option, they had a chicken Caesar salad, but for the price you pay for a salad and with the croutons and everything, I mean, it's still not like the best option either. So I just felt like a chicken sandwich. So that's what I got. And like I said, not ideal, but I started off with a really good breakfast, and sometimes it just is what it is. This is what's available. There's nothing else. It is what it is. We had like a really fun day. I never because we were so busy and going like up and down all the steps and going down the slides. And I mean, I was just being like a big kid, I guess. I felt like it wasn't a big deal because we were like moving. It's not like I went and had a grilled chicken sandwich and french fries and then just like sat around all day because I was, tired or my glucose was crashing. I'm sure, I mean, I know it went up and it came back down at some point, right? But we were moving around so much that maybe it just kind of offset that. Dinner that night was just kind of like a hodgepodge because we had leftover pizza, we had salad, we had the taco meat. So it was just kind of like a little bit of everything. I think I even had some of the protein shake too. So those were always like a nice option to have when you needed like a little extra protein. Or the cottage cheese is really good. Like you could even like call that dessert. Like when I use the Good Culture cottage cheese, that's just my favorite. It is. You can have whatever you want, but that's my favorite. And then crumble some of that granola that I made. Put some blueberries on there, something like that. To me feels like dessert, and it's adding protein. So it's kind of like a win-win for me. All right, the last day we were just going to do like some shopping. We were kind of running low on pancakes, so I went more with we had some leftover bacon from the Cobb salad, so made that. Always had plenty of eggs. I went more with loaded up the cottage cheese with the granola and the berries. And a little bit of the protein shake. So maybe like a little hodgepodge breakfast that morning too, but eggs were always consistent because we had the kitchen and it was really nice to make those for everyone. It was kind of a chaotic day, just like with my husband's schedule and things like that. Like he did have to work a little, so we were kind of doing some shopping while he was working, and there wasn't like, again, a lot of good lunch options, and I didn't really, it's hard to plan for this. Like I suppose like I could have planned for sandwiches, but we had like a drive and he was working and we were trying to give him food and the whole thing. Lunch was Culver's, and I know, like I got a grilled chicken sandwich and french fries again, which I know, so weird. Like did not think I was going to do that twice, but there wasn't a lot of good options. And the last 2 times I got salads at Culver's, I was so disappointed. The best way I can describe it, and maybe this is what they do, but those Dole salad mixes, and it's just like a bunch of iceberg lettuce and some like red cabbage. I just think like that's what they dump in there, and like the greens are just not good anymore. The whole thing is just disappointing to me, so I'm like, I don't want to be super disappointed, so I got the sandwich and we moved on because we just needed to get something because we needed to get on the road. It is what it is. I made the choice. I could have had the salad, but it just, like I said, they're just not what they used to be. And if I just want a bunch of iceberg lettuce, I can do that by myself at home. And that's not normally what I pick. Iceberg lettuce does not really fill me up, and I didn't want that. So we had that, and then we got back on the road, and then that's just kind of how we ended our trip, which was totally fine. And then, shocking, we got home and had a sandwich for dinner. I still had some homemade sourdough bread at home, so we could just use up some of the lunch meat and have some veggies on the side. So just like super simple because we were driving a good chunk of the day. So that just sort of worked out. I mean, it just doesn't have to be this complex thing. You just use up what you have and you just make it work. So just like a few notes before I wrap up here and just kind of how I approached food for the trip. I did pack a few snacks ahead of time. Like I said, the granola, muffins, pancakes I think were a good idea, freezing them and bringing them along. Researched the protein shakes and just needed that like easy grab and go option, especially when we were out and about or needed like just some extra protein. I think especially when traveling, that's the thing that I miss the most. If I don't get enough protein in the morning, I'm probably not setting myself up for very good success. So even if it's not the absolute highest quality protein, I would still rather get a little bit extra than none because, like I said, we went out for pizza and that really gave me almost no protein. So I do like to just have that option. I knew we'd be eating out, so of course I didn't stress about perfect meals, but I think just focusing on choosing the easy proteins like the tacos. And I tried to really limit unnecessary snacking, so just prioritizing water and electrolytes. I brought along our homemade element and limes to make that to stay hydrated. So I just tried to focus on that and not, I knew we were having like bigger meals, especially when you go out to eat. So if I can try and stay balanced and not be doing all this like snacking on crackers or chips and stuff like in between, like I really, really tried to be conscious of that. And just trying to plan for some like veggie forward meals like the salad. I just honestly feel better when I get some of that balance versus like 3 meals in a day out to eat. I just don't love doing that on vacation. So I definitely felt blessed to have the kitchen and to be able to like make some of those choices. But really, like at the end of the day, it's just about making the best choices you can with where you are and what you can do. The water park was, we did what we could. Just getting the protein in when you can, splurging when it's worth it, and just like honestly moving on. I just feel like I wasn't super restrictive, but I also wasn't perfect. So I just kind of left with memories and no guilt, and then just kind of jumped right back into it when we got home and didn't try and, feel bad or just want to eat all carbs. I just kind of jumped right back into protein, good veggies, just making simple meals and not like overcomplicating things. So that's what we did for our little getaway. I hope it gives you some ideas or maybe even just like, oh, that's a good idea. Like things you could research before you go somewhere. If you have a kitchen, if you don't, kind of like how that looks and what can I pack in the cooler? What can wait till we get there? Just sort of having a little bit of a plan, I feel like helps me when I travel and it just helps me feel my best without feeling like I'm restricting and not enjoying. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.